First of all, I want to say welcome. We're excited that you guys are here with us on this beautiful, beautiful Sunday morning. Hopefully everybody had a good time last night. Show of hands, yes, no? Yeah, a little bit of good time, hopefully not too much of a good time. That's why we had this event for you guys at 9:30 in the morning, so you didn't have to get up too early to come to this. But my name is John Archidiacono. I'm Chief Marketing Officer at Stewart. Welcome you guys, so excited you're here. You're going to hear some really interesting things today. Stewart prides itself on educating all of our customers about what's going on in the real estate industry. And you're going to hear from Ted about that. One of the things that Stewart has been talking a lot about recently with our customers are the changes that are happening across the industry. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but in August of next year, there will be no more HUD. Are you guys familiar with that? There will be no more HUD. Does anybody know that? There'll be, yeah, okay, good. I see some people nodding their heads. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is changing the industry. And in August, things will be changing for all of us. And Stewart we pride ourselves on being at the forefront of that and really educating our customers about what's happening. So if you have any questions about that, you can ask one of our Stewart associates. As a matter of fact, I'm going to ask all the Stewart associates to stand up, please, real quick. Everybody stand up who works for Stewart. Great. So if you have any questions, these are the folks from Stewart. Thank you guys. You can sit down. These are the folks from Stewart. Or you can stop by our booth afterwards and ask us questions there around what's going on with the industry. But I'm going to keep it short here. And I want to introduce Dr. Ted C. Jones. If you have never heard Dr. Ted Jones before, you're in for a treat. Ted is a leading economist. He's the chief economist for Stewart. But he's a leading economist and really has a understanding of what's going on across the real estate industry, how it impacts the residential commercial markets. And if you have never heard Ted before, you're going to think most economists are boring. Well, Ted's not boring. Ted is entertaining. So with that, I'm going to get off the stage here and let Ted talk about the economy. Ted?
John, thank you very much. Hope everyone likes the weather we arranged for you outside New Orleans this morning. Is that a gorgeous day out there? I haven't seen a prettier one. And my lovely assistant, Jenny, yeah, my assistant, nothing. One of our top marketing people at Stewart, Jenny's going to advance this thing. So who in here has never heard Ted speak? I told you guys I could use the old humor. I told you this. There's so many good friends in this room. Thank you all very much for around the country. This year's speech is entitled The New Normal. Because I don't know if you know it or not, we are back to normal, both in job growth, we're back to normal in housing sales. We're not building enough, I'll show you that. But hit this first one, Jenny, so let's go from there. Y'all see this, right? The question is, do you tell them or do you watch? I'm voting on watching. Anybody? Sam, what do you think? Sam, yeah. Watch, hit this next one, Jenny, I love this one. You know you're in Texas when the gumball machines look like this. Well, I know the people from the Northeast just died right there because they saw a picture of a bullet, you know. Yeah, hit this next one, Jenny. How many of y'all have ever played beer pong? Yeah. Well, yeah, beer pong's cool, but this is Texas-sized beer pong here. Do you love that? Texas-sized beer pong, is that cool or what? Jenny, hit this next one. Texas is such a big state. You can get a 10-piece order of fried chicken down the street. In Texas, you get 1,000 pieces for $350. John, am I right about this? Yeah, John Gormley, hit this one. But it is so hot in Texas in the summertime that you put in a secondary air conditioner because you need it. Jenny, I love this one. And you are obligated to learn to drive a stick shift in Texas. Y'all like learning stick shift, keep your distance still scary. Who's ever been through that stage of life? Yeah. Hit it, Jenny, this next one. This is my favorite thing. This is an innovation of the year. It's in a produce department in a grocery store. They got a bucket with ice and beer in it. It says, walking around beer, 99 cents. So you go in the store, when you first come in, it's always the produce department. You grab a cold can of beer. When you check out, you give them the empty can and they charge you 99 cents. Who thinks that's innovative? I do too. Y'all know what this is, right? Y'all know. Now this is, hit the button. This happens to be mac and cheese. Yeah, I know, that was bad, wasn't it? I love this one too. Stuff, $24.99. Hit the button. My comment was, stuff is getting expensive. Who agrees with me? Yeah. Hit it, Jenny, this next one. Did you, all right, it's only a myth you can charge your iPhone in the microwave. I like a ooh. Who in here has ever tried that? Oh, and who's from Tennessee in the room? Is there anyone from Tennessee? I was in Tennessee this week. That is a hot tub in Tennessee. Get this, Jenny, we'll go from there. My favorite sign, I always, if you all see unique signs, you take a picture and you send it to me. For sale parachute, used only once, never opened. Now, Sam Scott's been with me on this beach down in Maho Bay. His wife and I went down there years ago. Who's ever been to Maho Bay in St. John, U.S. Virgin Islands? So the reason I'm showing you this picture is I have a brand new GoPro camera. And if I show 2 pictures in every speech, I'm tax deducting that GoPro camera this year. So I'll show you the rest of this. I'll show you one of the locals in a few minutes. Hit this one, Jenny. Now, here's a video, and it'll run in a second. No sound, but you don't need it. It's just sound. So these guys have this new car, an old car, but it does the rockety, rockety, rockety. Y'all see that? Keep watching. Tell you what, hit the button, because that projector's not keeping. Just hit the space bar on it, Jenny, yeah. Okay. All right. Let me tell you the positives that I have out here right now in the economy. Let's talk economics. I don't know if you know this or not. We have more jobs than any time in history in the U.S. today. How many of y'all knew that? More jobs than any time in history. The most important thing about housing are jobs. 3 kinds of people that don't have jobs buy houses. They have gray hair, blue hair, or no hair. They're retirees. Am I right? I am. And that's what it is. So even better than that, and by the way, I'll show you in a minute, we've added over 2.6 million jobs in the last 12 months. 58% of the jobs we've added this year to date pay more than the median household income. So for the first time since 2008, we're actually adding jobs that are better than normal jobs. First time since 2008, guys. So we have more than ever before, and they're higher paying jobs. Number 3, interest rates are incredibly affordable. Who agrees? I remember building my house. I was a prof at Texas A&M at the Real Estate Center, 1989. Closed on the house in November of 89. My interest rate, 30-year fixed rate loan was 9.75%, and I was thrilled. First time in 10 years I've been below 10%. And yeah, rate's going to go up. I'll talk about that. And I want to throw this one out, and this is what everyone is underappreciating today. We're unlike almost every other major developed country. If you go to Japan or United Kingdom or Germany, if you were, let's say you're Rip Van Winkle and you went to sleep for a year and you woke up, every one of those countries I just mentioned, there would be fewer people living in that country when you woke up than when you went to sleep. Because they're all shrinking demographically speaking. They're all shrinking. The US, if you read my blog, who in here reads my blog? Okay? Not even every student employee raised their hand on that one. I'm the Rodney Dangerfield of economists. I get no respect. Yeah, top logic. We're going to go. We have about 317 million people in the U.S. today. By the year 2050, according to the Census Bureau, we'll be at 400 million. If you're worried about boomers like me dying and the population shrinking, it's just the opposite. There are more millennials today than there are boomers. So you have to realize the greatest generation the world has ever seen, the boomers, is going to be supersized by the millennials coming up. I think that's an amazing statement. So demographically, it's different. Jenny, hit this next one. Mega themes. Number 1, I still think it's time to overweight in real estate. Number 2, I think it's the best investment. Number 2, we're going to see a lot more renters. This gentleman in the back from Atlanta, hot Atlanta, because it's finally hot. He's a property manager of single-family dwellings. You never saw that 6 years ago, am I right? Just didn't see it. We're going to see more renters and owners than we ever have in history for 3 main reasons. Number 1, think about it. FICO scores 10 years ago were 640 on average. Today they're 750. Those people can no longer qualify for conventional loan. They're going to be renters. Number 2, the new qualified mortgage rules. How many of y'all, any lenders in the room? I think we got lenders over here. The new QM rule is essentially this. If you don't have pristine credit, then you're going to have to put more down. Am I right? Right. So how many 20 and 30 somethings do you know that have 20% to put down on a house? I think the National Association of Realtors this week said, on average, it takes the typical person 12 and a half years to save the 20% down payment. Yeah. And then, of course, the third thing we have a generation of 20 and 30 somethings who have messed up their personal balance sheet with student loans. I was on a flight back from Boston not quite 2 years ago. Young lady sitting next to me just graduated from a state school, $148,000 of student debt, and she was an English major. And I went, ooh, not gonna own a home. We got this debt ceiling. We'll talk about the election. It's kind of unique. We're not even a week after the election. And then I will tell you my biggest concern. And John, you actually pointed out earlier, how many of y'all know that as of this coming August, you'll never see a HUD-1 ever again? That document's gone. So what we're doing, you're now going to have I'll just do it simply, I'll do Aggie math. 2 pages of an old Truth in Lending, 2 pages of HUD-1 is now a new 10-page document. So the consumer can better understand what's going on. They didn't read the other 4 pages, and they aren't going to read the 10 pages. But this regulation thing's going to get into your business. It already is, guys. If you're a lender, in fact, bring this lady another drink because she's a lender and she needs it. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah. So hit this next one, Jenny. So let's see what changed in the election. Let's do the first bullet. I think we're going to build the XL pipeline. Who kind of thinks I'm right? I think they've probably delayed it enough. I think we're going to build it. What else changed in the election? Nothing. Who thinks I'm right? I do. Well, what it is, you have a president that's going to have absolute veto power over the Senate because the other side doesn't have 60 seats. You've got, remember, when you hear a person say gridlock is when you have so much traffic it stops. Stalemate is when you can't move, you lose. I think stalemate's a better word for what's going on in Washington, D.C. First of all, the new Republicans, they got to prove and thump their chest that what they ran and won on isn't going away, am I right? You think the president's going to change? No. Next, so we're done. That's it on the election. I want to show you this, and this is a chart, and by the way, we did a 1-minute video. You're going to get a copy of that because we have your email address. You can download the whole presentation, and we'll have the PDF of this too. Is that happy with everyone? Yeah. So, cool thing is, this is the chart you want to show prospective home buyers. It's gold prices. Did you know that gold dropped more in value from its peak to its trough than housing did during the housing bubble? Housing dropped 28, 29%. Gold right now is down almost 35%. I actually expect to see gold within the next 2 years below $1,000 an ounce or right at it. Is that amazing? Where's Mitch Creekmore? Mitch, where you at? Did you play craps last night in the casino? Yes. Okay. I think it's better to play craps in the casino than to buy gold. Because when you lose at craps, you get a free drink. Right. Hit this next one. CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, I think everyone in this room that deals in real estate realizes that licensing and regulation is important. Am I right? That way we're all kind of playing on a level field. But I think you can actually take that over to revenge, and I think that's what the CFPB's done. I like my lender saying amen. Think about it. Brilliant lady, former Harvard professor, now a federal senator, U.S. senator, was the original head of the CFPB, and Elizabeth Warren. And she despises bankers. And she could never be confirmed as the full-time head because she was essentially on record as having said, the bankers caused the recession, it's their fault, we can't punish them enough, but she said, I will make them suffer as much as I possibly can. We're dealing with mountains of that. One thing I'm really proud about at Stewart, and I urge you to go to stewart.com and take a look at this, we are being very preemptive on CFPB training and instructions. And if you need to know about CFPB, I'll guarantee you it's at a store near you and its name on it Stewart, because we have a group of certified instructors out on all the changes that are coming up on that. Just to show you that I think it is revenge, CFPB is supposed to protect the consumer from financial companies. I don't have a problem with that. I think we saw some charlatans in all kinds of business. We always have, always will. But let me show you what the CFPB isn't taking care of. I'm willing to bet almost nobody in this room has ever had a payday loan. Payday loans work like this. And these are Pew Research Center national averages. Wow. So average payday loan, here it is. 2 weeks on average before payday, you desperately need a couple $100, maybe a sick kid, maybe a credit card, maybe rent, maybe your mortgage payment, I don't know. But you need it. So you go to a payday lender, the average advance is $375, and you've just agreed that what they're gonna do is they're going to, 2 weeks from now, reach in your bank account and get the $375 and get the $55. I think $55 is a lot of money for a 2-week loan. Who agrees with me in here? I think that's onerous. Double-digit interest on 2-week loan. Now I'm going to do the gotcha. On average, that consumer doesn't pay back that loan for 5 months, which means every 2 weeks that payday lender dings them with another $55. On average, those consumers are paying over 380% interest. Did you know that the CFPB has only taken action against one payday lender? Every day you read about the banks. Who kind of agrees with my revenge idea? That's my hypothesis. Jenny hit this one. All right, love this. Latest job growth numbers came out Friday. We added 214,000 jobs. We've added 2.643 million net new jobs in the last 12 months. As I told you, we have more jobs than ever before. We're growing at 1.93%. I've always said I think normal is 1 3/4, so 2 1/4. We're right in the middle of that sweet spot. I think the economy is normal. Hit this, Jenny. And then this is, the yellow bars going up and down is when you had a recession. 1975 now, the black line, hit this one. Black line is the total number of jobs. This is the speed of the recovery. The steeper this red line that's popping up there in each of those recessions is the quickness of the recovery. And you'll notice we have the flattest recovery we've had since the Great Depression, quite literally. And you gotta ask yourself, we spent $1 trillion on stimulus, and yet it's the slowest recovery. So your question, was it the worst recession we've ever had? The answer is no, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. Why didn't the stimulus work? And the reason is the stimulus didn't do one thing for small business. I'm willing to bet almost every person in this room is a small business person. That means you work for a firm with less than 300 people. Am I pretty close? Can you name one thing the stimulus did good for you? Next question, is the Affordable Care Act, which you're going to have to pay next year, is that going to help or hurt? Now you understand why we have a slower growing economy. I think it's the new normal. Jenny, hit this next one. I just want to show you this. In the last 12 months, the average number of jobs we added per month is 220,000. You have to go back to 2006 for a better time. We all knew, job growth wise, what dumbfounded me in this election. Republicans and the Democrats didn't talk that we're growing jobs and they're good jobs. Job growth wise, you have to go back to 2006 to see something better. Back to normal. Just to see where you're at, if you're from North Dakota, congratulations, you're the highest job growth rate state in the country. Is anyone here from North Dakota? And I didn't think there was because I didn't see any oil field workers in this room. Texas is number 2, Utah, Nevada, Delaware, Colorado. Who's from Colorado in here, anybody? I spoke in Colorado just a couple weeks ago at the Colorado Association of Realtors Convention. You're walking down the street with the new marijuana laws, and they call it a school-free drug zone. School-free drug zone. Yeah. You go on this. Now, I'm going to be politically incorrect. Here's the winners, and here's the losers. D.C., Nebraska, Kansas, Ohio, where I'm speaking next week, Pennsylvania, Maryland, South Dakota, Vermont, Virginia, New Jersey. Alaska, though, is the only state in the last 12 months that lost jobs. Only 600. And I tell you, it's going to be a tough economic environment for them as oil gets cheaper, and it will, for them to grow jobs because they have the highest cost of production of oil. How many of y'all read my blog? I'll do that again, blog.stewart.com/Ted. Every year, the Tax Foundation, this will be one of my blogs this coming week, brand new data out. They rank all 50 states on business friendliness. They look at corporate income tax, personal income tax, retail sales tax, unemployment tax, and your property tax. And good news is if you're one of those dark colored states, you're a winner. Bad news is if you're one of those yellow-orange states, you're a loser. Now, I will tell you that just being a good business state doesn't assure that you'll have good job growth. South Dakota is ranked 2nd, North Dakota is ranked 25th in business friendliness. North Dakota is blowing the doors off because of oil and gas. South Dakota is second best in the country, and they're not doing well. But the bottom line is, where are you going to see corporations and business relocate to? Not necessarily startup is going to be in the dark colored states. Who thinks I'm right?
I think you're right.
Well, I know I'm right because I like this. Hit this one, Jenny. The housing market's no longer upside down. Love that picture. The guy there's bicycles upside down on this house this guy built. I love that. Hit it, Jenny. Let's talk about existing home sales. And by the way, the blue is this year, the white's last year. Let me tell you the amazing thing. First of all, we started out the year horrible. Who remembers weather? December, January, February, March. Horrendous. Couldn't get to job interview, you couldn't go see houses. Weather was just unbelievably bad. So we started out the year really behind. And historically, housing sales go down from July to August, and they go down from August to September. In September, we posted the highest number of new home sales we have this year. So what we have going to this fall is really incredible momentum. My forecast is, well, hit it, Jenny, and I'll show you this in a second. Here's prices. Oh, one thing I want to throw out to you realtors, just look at the white bars. The best time to buy a home is December and January, because they're the cheapest. How many of y'all knew that? Who's going to use this slide in talking to buyers this fall and early next spring, next winter, saying, did you know homes are cheaper this time of the year? Yeah. Hit this next one, Jenny. Just to show you this is NAR's existing home sale numbers. The red's the median price, the black's the number of sales. We're going up, and that's great news. Hit it, Jenny. So here's my forecast for next year. And what I want to point out to y'all, thus far this year, I've only missed the total monthly forecast with this model by 5,188 home sales. At almost 5 million. So the model's been pretty good. But next year, it shows a 5.4% increase. So I'm actually forecasting a higher sales increase than NAR's, I believe. And my forecast on home prices, I think home prices go up 4 to 5% again. So we're seeing some great news in the housing market's recovering. Now, hit it again, Jenny. Okay, new home sales. How many of y'all deal with builders? Let me tell you the thing about poor builders. Go out and buy them lunch, because they're having a hard time. Number one, we used to sell 1.3 million, we're down to 500,000. They lost an entire workforce. Number two, they have a tremendous headwind because they're out of lots. We quit, we really haven't done much dirt work, as they call in subdivisions, literally since 1977. But the biggest thing, and this is a personal thing for everyone in this room, the amazing thing about builders is you would not fathom how much more it costs to build today than just 3 years ago. So my challenge to every one of you that owns a home in this room, next time you renew your homeowner's insurance, I would up the insured amount, because if you had a catastrophic loss, I'm willing to bet it would not replace it. Just thought. Are we building too much? Well, the answer is not even close. We've permitted 955,000 new total dwellings, including apartments, in the last 12 months. We added 2.6 million jobs. That means we have 2.7, almost 2.8 new jobs per new dwelling. That's almost like 3 employed adults per new apartment and house. We think 1.25 or 1.5 is normal. What I just said is almost every place in this country, rents will continue to rise this year and home values will continue to rise. My one caveat on that, Washington, D.C. just became our first overbuilt multifamily market. We overbuilt it again. Everyone thought you could never overbuild a government city. We just did. So, Jenny, just to show you this wasn't the worst recession, if you look from the 70s to the early 80s, who's from Houston in here or Texas that remembers that? John, you do, don't you? I mean, it was decimating, particularly to that region. Housing sales went down 51% from peak to trough. If you looked back in the early 90s, we went down 19, almost 19.5. This past recession from peak to trough, we only went down 42%. So we actually had a bigger decline in housing sales nationwide in the 70s, early 80s than we did before. But here was the gotcha. The gotcha was, in those first 2 recessions I put up there, home values continue to increase. So yeah, you were selling fewer homes, but your commission or the title policy or whatever it was, the lending points, fees, as home values go up, it goes up. And this last one, we had to double down Dougly because we lost 42% of sales. From my company's perspective, on average, the home price decline cost us almost 21% of our revenue per transaction. We lost 63% of our total revenues in the title insurance industry. Y'all pretty much did more than that because you're not prorated like that. So Jenny hit it. Interest rates going no place but up. my forecast is a year from now, we're going to be looking at 5.6 to 6%. I am the highest forecaster of that in the country right now. Everyone else is low. Everyone else is wrong, I think. Thank y'all for laughing. But even if I'm right, 6% rates a year from today are phenomenal. Who agrees with that? Yeah. Jenny. Let me show you the amount of energy we have going forward in this economy. And this is why I'm pretty bullish out here today, on jobs in particular. Number one, money supply, M1. Cash, demand deposits, and checking accounts. We've doubled our M1. It's sitting there earning 0% interest. When consumers become confident, they'll spend everything above that pink line, and they're just starting to. You don't spend money on leisure and hospitality unless you're pretty optimistic about the future. We have more people today employed in leisure and hospitality than any time in the history of the United States. How many of y'all knew that? What I'm trying to tell you is we're already back. Jenny, hit this one. Retail sales, this is after you adjust for inflation. Retail and food service sales, which includes alcohol, you'll be proud to know. We're doing more than ever before. Yeah, last month was down from the month prior, so last month was the second highest month we've ever had. How many of y'all knew that? Jenny, hit this one. Household debt service. My lenders gotta love this one over here. Consumers used to spend 14 cents of every take-home dollar on their household debt. It does not include your house loan. It includes your car, your boat, your jet skis, your credit cards. Consumers today spend less than 10 cents. We are spending less on our consumer debt than any time in my lifetime of our take-home pay. So that means the wealth effect's getting there. And when you feel wealthy, you spend money. Cars. Well, I call it lightweight vehicle sales. That's cars, and if you're from Texas and Louisiana, pickups. Okay? Y'all got that? We used to sell 16 million. We got down to 9.4 million. We're selling 16.5 million. Within a year, we'll be at 17.5 million because our average aged car in the fleet's over 11 years old. It's the oldest fleet of vehicles we've ever had. Oh, now let me tell you the good news. Who's my friends from Toledo? Where are you guys at? Honda has a plant in Ohio. We built more Hondas in Ohio last year than we imported for the first time in history.
Ooh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Mercedes, anyone here from Mississippi? Mercedes, got a lady over here from Mississippi. Mercedes has a plant in Mississippi that builds 3 models of Mercedes, and they export them all over the world, left and right-hand drive. If you buy an X or Z series BMW, any place in the world, including right-hand drives in Australia, they're all made in South Carolina. Do you realize what I just said? We've become a manufacturing nation once again. And those are jobs for everybody. You don't have college debt when you get those kind of jobs. They're good paying jobs. Good news is, and this is Fannie Mae's forecast, we're looking at almost a 16% increase in purchase lending on houses next year. My lender over here is happy. Now lenders, take a sip of that alcohol because you're going to need it after this one. But look what refis are doing. Y'all see refis going down like that? It's going to be, take your lender out to dinner, okay? Hit it, Jenny. Commercial people, remember my commercial people. Dustin, you get a little bit on commercial, the Nimitz you are. We had a bigger bubble in commercial real estate than we had in housing. We went from almost 600 billion in sales to less than 100 billion in 24 months. We call them commercial brokers because most of them went broke. Look at the recovery. You know, recovery's there. Jenny hit this one. Let me tell you why. Remember I told you real estate's the place to overweight today? The average return on real estate in pension funds, because they don't have to pay any income taxes, so we get a clean return series. The average return in pension funds in the US for the last 13 years is 8.25% per year, compounded annually. I know one guy on Wall Street who beat that for a while. His name was Bernie Madoff. Remember I told you how bad 09 was? The average commercial real estate value dropped 31%, but the cash flow was 6%, so the net loss was 25%. Including that minus 25%, the 13-year average is still 8.25%. Here's the rules on commercial real estate today, though. You got to have 30 to 35% down. These are life insurance company rules and big lender rules, $100 million stuff. You got to have 125% debt coverage ratio. Lenders today are more focused on the tenant quality than any time in history. If you have 2 buildings, identical, and one of them's rented for 20 years to FedEx and one of them's rented to Pam's nail parlor, paying the same rent, They'll give you a loan on FedEx, they won't on Pam's Nail Parlor. And lastly, we're seeing longer term leases because we're seeing longer term loans. This is the one that bothered me. Over half the households in the U.S. receive some form of government assistance. How many of y'all knew that?
No, but
Now you know why your taxes are going to go no place but up. Jenny, hit this. I want you to think 2 columns. These are Congressional Budget Office numbers. That's how much interest we're going to pay on the debt. Now let me just do this real quick. CBO's assumptions are, I disagree with some, but I agree with some, but let's just forget the assumptions and let's do this. Think 2012, 9.1 cents of every tax dollar in 2012 of the $452 billion interest on the debt. That worked for 9.1 cents of every tax dollar collected. In 2012, 70 cents of every tax dollar collected went to entitlements, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and government pensions, federal government pensions. That means in 2012, you had 20 cents and change left to spend on everything else. That was defense and housing and education and research and NASA and everything else in between. Y'all with me on that? Let's do 2022. According to CBO, if we just keep kicking the can down the road, keep raising the debt ceiling, keep borrowing more, they say, and they're assuming we're going to have more people working than ever before, making more than they ever made before, paying more taxes than they ever made before. They're also assuming that the 10-year Treasury between now and then does not get above 5%, which I disagree with because I think it'll get higher. In 2022, 24.5 cents of every tax dollar will go to interest on the debt, and 75 cents of every tax dollar goes to entitlements, which leaves a ½ cent for defense and housing and education and NASA and everything else. Do you realize the train wreck the federal government's on? It's going to happen in front of our eyes. It's already happening. And this is where I'm going to give the speech. Shame on you if you don't contribute to the Realtor PAC. For those that are realtors listening. And let me tell you, there's 4 groups that are fighting to maintain the mortgage interest reduction. National Association of Realtors, National Association of Home Builders, Mortgage Bankers Association, the American Land Title. No one else cares. No one else cares. Oh, and the other proposal, of course, that may have changed after the election. The Senate Finance Committee had proposed right after the election to eliminate 1031 exchanges on commercial. Yeah. Oh, and increase the depreciation time from 20 years to average of 40 years on commercial real estate and limit the amount you can depreciate by half. So they're going to get more taxes. That's rule number 1. Expect pressure for more tax collections. Number 2, they're going to reform entitlements. If you're in this room and you're below the age of 50, I'm willing to bet you don't get to collect Social Security until you're 69 or 70, assuming you get to collect Social Security. And the other, they're cutting spending, but not where you'd like to cut spending. We're going to have fewer people in the U.S. Army than we had in 1938 next year. That's tough. Jenny, hit this next one. My favorite slide of slides, I call it the George Mitchell slide. How many of y'all know who George Mitchell was? Well, real estate baron in a way, although he's a petroleum engineer, graduate in Texas A&M, just died this past year at the age of 96. George built the Woodlands in Texas, the most successful master plan community in existence. But before George did that, he owned Mitchell Energy. Oh, and George Mitchell perfected hydraulic fracturing of shale formations. George Mitchell, read this graph on the left, on the bottom of the blue bar. It's the price per 1,000 cubic feet of natural gas. Read the pink line on the right, that's the price per barrel of oil. Until 2009, wherever oil prices went, natural gas followed. So let me do this one. Before 2009, oil got expensive. That means we have less money to spend on everything else, right? So it also means that the inputs of production to build new houses or make petrochemicals or anything else increased because natural gas got expensive, which means not only did we have less money to spend, we had to buy less because everything was costing more. Double down. And all of a sudden in 2009, oil prices go up, natural gas goes down, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I'll take you to Corpus Christi, Texas. We're building a new plastics plant there. The Eagle Ford Shale area, not the biggest shale area production in the US, it's 4th largest. It's high in ethane. You make plastic out of ethane. We're going to build a plant there near Houston in Louisiana. We're going to go from being the largest importer of plastics in the world 10 years ago to 10 years from now probably being the world's largest exporter of plastics. All US jobs. Did you hear what I said? Bringing manufacturing back to George changed the world for our kids and grandkids. What does 60 mean? If you think 60, and I know you're thinking, Ted, you're older than 60, but I'm not. What's the importance of 60? Here's my forecast for oil prices this year. I think in the next 12 months we see $60 a barrel oil. And if you read my blog, have I mentioned the blog yet today? Hit this one. Hit it, Jenny. I ran a regression. Hit one more time. At $60 a barrel, that means $2.35 a gallon gasoline for everyone in here except from California. Because you guys pay taxes too much. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. Hit this, Jenny. My opportunities. We're going to see increasing existing home sales this year. We're going to see increasing new home sales this year. We still have incredibly affordable energy. It's going to get cheaper, I do believe. Government regulation, I think the election, if there's one twist on it, we're going to limit the amount of regulation growth. I like that. Growing domestic and global economy. It is a global economy. And lastly, our housing demand is outpacing our supply, which means rents and home prices go no place but up. My concerns, this debt ceiling. I got a government that just is out of control. Who agrees? You have the same government. I'll just put it out there. I don't care if Republican or Democrat. GSEs. Another good thing about the election, I don't think the Republicans are going to get rid of Fannie and Freddie. Who thinks I'm right? Why? You can't afford to. They're making so much money for the government now, you can't afford to kill the goose that lays a golden egg. If I had anything to say on it, I think you ought to merge the two into one. That means you have one board of directors, one CEO, one CFO. I think you're better off. Who agrees? Yeah, but government likes it big, so we'll forget that one. Anyone here who's from the Midwest? We got our guys from Toledo back here and other people over here. Here's my big concern about your markets, and it's George W. Bush's fault. When he put all the subsidies in ethanol production on corn, we all of a sudden saw corn prices go up 500%. In the Midwest, we saw rural land prices go up 600%. That means lenders have loaned these farmers in those markets money on new tractors and trucks and combines and new land. And when, notice, not if, when they remove the subsidies on ethanol, which they will because we don't have any money left, guys, and corn values drop 40% from where they are from today, the FDIC says 300 Midwest banks go belly up. Be careful who you bank with. My favorite slide of the year, this is the Meals on Wheels program in the Serengeti. And the guys on the wheels are the mills, you knew that, right? Get it, Jenny? I got a blog, have I mentioned that? Also tweet, how many of y'all tweet? You better sign up to my Twitter account, DRTCJ. I do 40 or 50 a week, no kidding. They're all economic except Halloween. We try to throw in one there. DRTCJ, sign up. I look forward to that. Hit the next one, Jenny. My favorite ones are the labels from China. Here's a label, size 3 to 4 years, 100% polyester, wash inside out, remove child before washing. And the next one, I love this one. Made in China, class D in day or night use only. Yeah. Remember I told you I was going to show you one of the locals at Maho Bay? Who likes this? Now I get to tax duck that camera, don't I? Yeah. Hit it. Perception's not necessarily reality. How many of y'all feel a little better? And I don't just mean from the mimosas and the Bloody Marys. How many of y'all feel better about the economy today? Yeah, I see moderate increase in housing and stuff. I think that's awesome, guys, because I think we're pretty much back to normal. But perception is not necessarily reality. Hit it. And there's music that goes with it, but you don't care. Just watch. Keep watching. It's got to be the peanuts. It couldn't be the beer causing that hallucination. So time-wise, hit one more, Jenny. Twitter, DRTCJ, blog. It is what it is. Who's got a question? Nobody's got a question. Yes.
Any idea if you had to speculate when oil is actually going to be $60 a barrel or thereabouts?
Okay, she asked, is there any idea when oil is going to be $60 a barrel or thereabouts? I said the next 12 months. As economists, we have a rule. Give a number or give a date, never give both. You can never be wrong if you never give both and never give both. So I just see energy prices trickling on down. And guys, thank George Mitchell for this. Thank the shell formations in this earth. I mean, and the technology, and yeah, amazing. Question over here. Who's?
Question is, are we
Yes. If we've got your email address, they're going to send you a link. In fact, John will probably explain that a little bit more. You're going to get like a 1-minute video outside kind of summarizing this NAR thing. You're going to get a link to the entire presentation. You'll get a link where you can download the entire presentation on a PDF file too.
Great.
Yes?
There seems to be a transportation issue as relates to the delivery of field products, corn, et cetera, as it relates to the oil delivery of Central North. If and when the XL pipeline gets built, is that a timeline? Do you expect the price of oil, et cetera, to change rapidly?
Here's a real good question. You know, without the XL pipeline, we're taking all this oil from North Dakota and from Canada, Canadian tar sands, oil sands, what have you, and we're putting on trains. Very inefficient mode of transporting that kind of product. You really need to build the XL pipeline, guys. And let's look at it. We built the Alaskan pipeline in probably the most fragile environment you can ever build a line. We haven't had a fire or a town burned down from the Alaskan pipeline. We've already had multiple fires along those rail lines where the oil cars burn. So let's just be honest about this. If we do it right, we can build it safe. We proved that with the Alaskan pipeline. Number two, we've got a real issue in about 3 years. We're producing so much light crude, we do not have the refining capacity for it. 3 years from now, if we don't start exporting oil, you're going to see oil drop maybe another $30 a barrel because we have so much light crude in the U.S. You really need to build some more refining capacity in the U.S. But everyone has that NIMBY, not in my backyard. Am I correct? And all we've ever done since '82 are expand current refineries. We haven't built any new refineries since then. The last one was permitted in '78, I think. I could be wrong on that. So the quicker you build that pipeline, the better. But in conjunction with it, you also need to build the refining capacity. So go from there on that one. But that's a great question, too. All three good questions thus far. 2 more questions. Yes?
And do you expect the dollar to increase in the next 5 years?
Do I expect the dollar to increase next 5 years? First of all, I will tell you, quantitative easing, and when you're printing up, well, remember Bernanke, when he originally started on this, on the last wave of it, he's printing $85 billion of new money every month electronically. And it caused the value of the dollar to go down. Is that good or bad? The answer is yes. It's bad if you're going to take your significant other to Paris. I mean France, not Texas, okay? Let's put this out there, because there's Paris, Texas. Because it's going to cost you more euros. Let me caution you about going to Paris, though. Paris is a beautiful city if it weren't for the Parisians. But it's really good because it made it very inexpensive for foreign nationals to purchase our real estate. You go to Florida, more than 4 out of every 10 home sales were to foreigners. So what surprised me in recent months with the world turmoil is I expected the value of the dollar to go down some more. It went up because of the flight to the dollar, flight to quality, and interest rates have remained abnormally low. So my long-term expectation, since we're not going to do any more QE, is probably have a strengthening value of the dollar. Yes?
How do you see the international market, both buyers coming into the U.S. with their dollars or whatever their currency is, affecting those numbers that you showed there today?
Good question. How do I see the international market impacting these numbers I'm already at? So let me do this one, and let's talk a hot issue on the table. Let's talk immigration reform and overhaul. I'm going to take you to 2 different countries who actually did programs. And what they did, you think about it, we've always encouraged bring us your poor, what have you. Canada and New Zealand, decades ago, started immigration programs, bring me your rich and your business people. And what dumbfounded both those countries is the number of wealthy people that wanted to relocate there. In fact, it far exceeded their expectations. If you were to do immigration reform and demand, you can come in, but you have to buy a house, you have to pay cash, it has to be median value. Once you do that, you're here, you're going to bank here, you're going to bring part of your business here, you'll grow the economy. That'll be a big difference. So if we do immigration reform without any housing issues, no change. If we do immigration reform with housing issues, big impact potential. And as a former appraiser, my comparable sales on that one are Canada and New Zealand because we saw what it did in those programs in those countries. With that, I'm going to turn the program over to John. We cannot thank you all enough for your business, and thank you for putting up with me today.